Pigs are fun to have around. They do smell. Our pen is a good 350 feet away from our house. But in this series, I'm going to show you where to set up your pen. I should say how to set up your pen. So you're going to want a pen that's roughly 30 by 20. Okay. You're going to want to make sure you have feed. You're going to want to make sure they have a place to sleep. You're going to want a place for them to drink. Come here. So, these are our 4-H pigs. And right now we have them all in one pen. You're going to want at least 2 pigs. Because they are very social creatures. And if you only have one, it'll constantly want to get out. Hey there, friends. So I'm going to show you how to set up a small pig pen. This is just some wooded area, and unfortunately with the virus going on, everything's kind of at a standstill, so I can't even pour the concrete for the pole barn. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to I'm going to build 2 temporary pens for the kids as 4-H pigs, and we'll just use that this year. Hopefully I can get the rest of the pole barn done up while these pigs are going, but I got them coming in a couple of weeks, so I need to get going on this penned-in area. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have 4 pigs in each pen, and what it'll be is I just did 10 paces by 10 paces, and that'll be my penned-in area. Okay, and I just kind of walked it out. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just want enough space and room for them to forage. Now, I do have to remove some of these trees that are down, so I got the quad out here so I can drag them out of the way. We're going to get into that process. I'll show you what kind of fencing I'm just going to use, and then what I'll do for when I get the pigs on how to keep them in a little bit better. But for now, we're just going to get going on this. We're going to start clearing all this stuff out. So this is probably the smallest pen that you'd want for 4 pigs. This also works great for 2 pigs, but you never want to go with just 1 pig. That 1 pig will get bored and constantly try and get out. So you're going to want at least 2. And this pen sizing will work great for 2 pigs to 4 pigs. You can squeeze 6 in there, but that's really pushing it, because then they start fighting. And then I'll also show you later on how to build a really good feeder box that works great for 4 pigs. So we're going to get into this project, and hopefully we can get all the fencing put up today. And then later I will show you how to make the feeder box. This feeder box works really great. It holds about 300 pounds of feed, so you'd only have to fill it, as they're little, you only got to fill it a little bit every week, or you can fill it once and let it go for a couple of weeks, but you risk stuff getting in there or it getting wet. So I suggest you just make your feeder box and just monitor the first couple of days and how fast they're eating. So I have to plan out where I'm going to have that, where I'm going to have the stalls or their sleeping areas, and then where I'm going to have the gate. So I'm going to want the feeder boxes so they're easy to fill. The housing's not so important. I'll probably put that near the feeder. But I'll have the gates on this side so it's easier to access. The feeder boxes so they're easy to access, probably near the gates. And the housing will be just off of that. So we're going to jump into that. I'm going to start clearing this land out, just removing the trees that are down. I'm going to use the existing trees to support the fencing. Every once in a while I use a stake to support it. So we're going to jump into that. I'm going to start getting all this stuff out. Okay, so now I got all the trees, the big trees, cleaned up out here. The pigs will take care of the rest. My biggest thing was I wanted the trees out of the way so they didn't get in the way of the fencing. So yeah, now I'll just take some fencing out and I'll start laying it out of where I'm going to have it and see what's my best route, because I don't want to cut any panels that I don't have to. So we'll just lay it out and see where it lands. Okay, so let me show you what I got going on for the corners. I already had a couple that were already bent into corners. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to show you, demonstrate how to make this corner right here. Okay, so you can see I'm going to have a fence here and a fence here. So I got to take this one and I got to make basically almost a 90. All I did was I counted out how many squares were in my piece, because this one's a bit shorter. It was trimmed down, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to stand on it and basically fold it over on itself to give us a nice kind of bend to it. So I marked out my middle one. I'm just going to stand on it bend it. Now I got a nice corner to build from. So now I just got to figure out how I'm going to attach these. Probably use some staples into the trees. This is only temporary, so it's got to withstand the pigs for 1 year. And I'll take it down because they will demolish this area, and I'll want to move them next year anyways. So hopefully I'll have the pole barn portion complete. And yeah, so we can get going on this. Alright, I'll be back. I gotta get some other things. I gotta get some things to help me set up these stakes and posts. I'm not gonna go with anything too fancy. So I'll probably grab some zip ties to hold it together while I lay it out, figure out how I want it. Other than that, this is about going to be perfect. Okay, so the way I am joining these two splits together is I'm just taking some of the electrical fence wire that I have, and what I'll do is I'll just start at the second square down, and I take a really long piece. Alright, so you take a really long piece, pull these in together, okay, you just do one twist at the top, alright, you do one twist up here, and then all you're doing is you're just going to pull it around and around until you get a nice all the way down to the bottom. The only reason I'm doing this is because it ties these panels together really well, and it's very cheap. It's something I had laying around in the pole barn, so I'm just going to twist it all together, and that'll allow that to have a little bit of flex, but it'll be just as strong as the actual fencing. Now it's kind of a long process, but it makes a really good seam. Now I don't do the very bottom piece. What I do is I use that last box up and I loop it back on itself, basically kind of tie a knot in it. Okay. Then you're going to go and do it with the other side. So that's why you have such a long piece. You're taking it in the center, you're weaving around one way, then you weave it around the opposite direction with the other strand. Alright, so you leave the bottom a little long. Okay, so you leave these a little long so that you can tie to your post. Okay, the pig is not going to be able to get a T-post out of the ground very easily. You will go through and you'll have a couple more stakes out there, but for simplicity, here's one, and all I'm gonna do is get this right up next to it. I'm gonna go around this, okay, and I'm gonna go around it again after I get it nice and tight. Okay, and then you're making a nice solid wiring around this. You just twist your end. Okay, then you can take a couple extra small pieces and you can just, a couple of spots, you know, you got the one at the bottom, do one in the middle and one up top on the fencing, and this will securely hold your pigs. Now, I have seen a pig slip through one of the bigger squares, so if you have any dirt piled up, they can get through this top square. If you have a small square fencing, that'd be great. You can get by with any fencing will do. The heavier the better. The smaller the square, also the better for when you get the piglets. They will be able to slip through some tiny holes, okay? You're gonna want to have something to prevent them from getting through a hole. Piglets will be able to fit through a hole about the size of your hand, okay? And that's even when they weigh the recommended size for when you get them. If they can get their head through, they'll wiggle their body through, alright? So, just keep that in mind. What I'll do is I'll probably grab some lightweight fencing and I'll run that along the bottom, and it's only got to go up to about knee high to prevent the pigs from getting out. So, and then you just kind of run that along the bottom, and it's just, once their snout hits that, they'll stop. Now they will dig, so you have to make sure that they don't dig underneath. So the more T-posts you have around it to secure that down, the better you are. I'm going to do an electrical fence around the perimeter, and that'll just deter them from even getting close to that. So, that's how easy it is to get started in pig pen. It's roughly 20 by 20, will house 4 pigs very comfortably. I'd probably do the same if I was doing 2 pigs. And, you know, anything more than 4 pigs in one pen, you're talking, you got to have a lot more space. You got to have a lot more feeding boxes. So this is a feeding box that I made, and I will have to make another one, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that in another video. But this works really good for no more than 4 pigs. Alright. It's roughly, I want to say it's 2 sheets of plywood, and that'll do the whole thing. Okay. 2 sheets of plywood and like 4 2x4s that are 8 foot long. So this works really well, and it holds roughly about 400 pounds of feed. So, and they don't make a huge mess with it, but they will if they're fighting over it all the time. So that's why I recommend no more than 4 pigs on one of these boxes. So if you're going to have more than 4 pigs in a pen, you're going to want a couple of these boxes. Okay. You can make them smaller. That'll hold roughly about 100 pounds of feed. That'll be fine too for 2 pigs. But the more feed you can house, the more they can eat. The more they eat, the faster they grow. And it all just works out better that way. What I'm going to do is I'll tie my fencing to this, and that'll prevent them from getting out. So each pen is going to be 30 by 20 something, by 24, 30 by 24, and that'll house 4 pigs comfortably for 1 year. Now they will root this up so bad that you would want to move it. So keep that in mind. Pigs root up the ground pretty heavily, and what'll happen is it's so rooted up that it'll just get saturated with water. Okay, you're gonna want to get a watering system out here. You're gonna want to get feed some way to feed them, and you're gonna want a gate. All right, you're gonna need a housing for them. That's basically all you're gonna need: fencing, housing, feed box, watering, and a gate to get them in and out. Alright? You're going to want to interact with them so that they aren't scared of you all the time. These are going to be our 4-H pigs for the kids. So each one's going to have their own pen. And we're going to make sure that they get off on a good start for this year. So thanks for watching. May God bless you and your family, and we'll see you next time.